I mean, realistically, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is way there. Like realistically compared to the Samsung. Samsung just likes to overexpose. Apple is winning simply because they are not overexposing their image. Samsung is losing because of that. So Mr. Boss just dropped another banger, and it's a comparison video between the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the S25 Ultra camera. I'm actually not into any of these phones. I just think they're mainstreams, and I'm not really into mainstream stuff a lot of the times.
Okay, so this is front camera footage taken on both phones, and actually right off the bat,
oh my dude,
massive difference.
It's bad.
So you can see this new front camera.
I like the tones on the Samsung, but the sky is done way better on the iPhone, right?
On the iPhone is quite a bit wider, so you're not just seeing my face and shoulders like you are on the Samsung,
that's
but also
cool. On
a
the
little bit more of the
front
scene
camera
on either
better.
side. But most of all, look at this. It's just completely blown out on the Samsung, but you can see
that's
so
what I
much
said.
more of the sky details on the iPhone. Apple's image processing seems to have finally stabilized.
Oh, look at these details. I think, like, judging by this one, the coloring here looks better. It's more contrasty, like it's a bit underexposed. I'm the type of guy that enjoys underexposed on videos and photos. And I think that's where iPhone has me at the cameras part. But I'm not like when it comes to details, I have every time I pick an iPhone, it doesn't make me like say wow anymore. Like I was comparing the Xiaomi 14 with the S24 in a recent scenario and with an iPhone. And mate, it wasn't such a big difference. Like the only part different about all these cameras is the way they process it, and you can see how it is tailored for specific markets and for their own customers, right?
Older iPhones used to make your skin look really rough.
But I think the details on the left is better.
Warm tinge.
Yeah.
Not anymore. The skin tone and color of these iPhone 17 shots is, well, I mean, it's a little boring compared to Samsung's vibrancy, but it is more technically correct. So Apple can take the overall win in front cameras. Let's try something. Okay, I'm going to flash 2 photos on screen quickly. Now, you've got a second. Which of these is better? Okay, so there's a decent chance that 2 photos on screen quickly. Now, you've got a...
This one is better. I think this one is the iPhone.
Second, which of these is better? Okay, so there's a decent chance that you, like me, initially sided with this one because, I mean, contrast and sharpness are like the first things your brain registers. This is Samsung's shot, but now look a little closer. And can you start to realize how that contrast has also come at the cost of the natural color and text? Start to realize how this is...
like the reason why I choose like
this one,
in terms of videos, like in terms of like when it's on a video, it's very hard to actually judge as a viewer the camera, except if it's really bad. In this case, I went with this one because I like the coloring on it more. I just like the warmer sides of it. And at the same time, digital sharpening is not always sharpening. Like this is something I've learned in photography. Just because you in Adobe Lightroom you just crank that clarity up to 100 doesn't mean it's gonna be sharper. It's gonna look uglier.
I do think it's a pro that the iPhone zoom slider is smoother and it's more responsive.
Actually had a debate with an iPhone lover that switched to Samsung. And he was like, mate, I just love how iPhone doesn't stutter on that. Okay, but what? Like, I know this sounds like weird from an Android user perspective, but iPhone user actually look at that. It's crazy.
Green is brighter in broad daylight, and that is just as useful. So honestly, give me either of these for zoom and I will be very happy. But now that we've touched on video, I do just want to talk about...
One more thing before we go. I think it's one of the best decisions if you get a smartphone to go with something that has a telephoto camera. Like, you guys don't realize how entertaining it is to shoot with a telephoto camera, even on your smartphone. Like, the amount of times where I stopped carrying a camera around me because of my Xiaomi 14 with the tele camera in it has been like dipping really down because of it, because it's just so much fun, you know, because sometimes you just want to, take a quick grab of a photo that you really like. You don't need a big camera to carry with you for that, right?
Video in general. Because a few generations ago, this was a very easy thing to draw conclusions on. The iPhone just used to capture this whole extra layer of detail, but that's not really the case anymore. Like, this is a 4K clip taken on the ultra-wide cameras. And even though we are very far out, you can still fairly clearly see what this chimp is up to on both. Now, if we want to see clearer, we can switch over to the main 1x camera. But again, there isn't a detail difference at all. The only thing that I can notice, and you will see this throughout the comparison in all areas, is Samsung just isn't as consistent when it comes to color. Because have a look at the greenery in this shot, the trees and the grass, and see how much it changes as we move between the main camera and the ultra-wide. Or here, if we take some slow-mo, it's very detailed on both phones. It's just, look at all the animals on this merry-go-round. Can you see how Samsung's shot is quite overexposed? Whereas the iPhone 17 Pro...
That's my problem, and I was explaining to a lot of people, like, there's one of the reasons why I just don't choose Samsung. Like, I'd rather have a Chinese phone over that. A Chinese flagship. I think that, like, let's say a Vivo or a Vivo X200 Ultra or a Find X Ultra or something like that,
And yeah, don't look at me. The high-level summary, though, is unless you have niche uses, like wanting to do extreme color grading stuff, like these are both really nice shots of some really nice parkour. These phones are so good now that we actually use both iPhones and Samsungs for different types of shots in our own videos. We use iPhones for most of the sections that are focused on me, just because of the reliability of the skin tones. But then we use Samsung for recording most of the time lapses of products, because this phone shoots in 8K resolution, which gives you a lot more room after you've shot to be able to zoom in on the specific bits that you want to talk about.
Okay, that's a huge difference. I didn't expect 8K on Samsung to be that good. Because, everybody knows that on video, nobody beats the iPhone. Like, I gotta be very unbiased. Nobody beats the iPhone on video at all. Absolutely not. Not a chance. But on 8K, that's so much more detail. What? I might as well just switch to 8K. So, I usually just recommend, if you use smartphones like Samsung or Xiaomi or any other smartphone that tends to overexpose, try to manually bring the slider down. It's gonna help your shot so much more.
Kind of sad that in 2025, the maxed out Pro iPhones still can't shoot 8K. Now, one of the other things that Apple said is that the iPhone 17 Pros should have next generation portrait mode. And to be honest, I feel like I've heard this sentence like 6 times at this point, so I was expecting this to be a bit of a nothing upgrade. But I can actually tell that
this looks better on the iPhone. This looks better. Like, I would choose this one absolutely all day. Jeez, the cameras get so good on all smartphones, like on all flagships. The cameras got so good. These shots look like a DSLR camera from 15 years ago. Absolutely insane, mate. How far we've come with smartphones. It's crazy.
Kind of bland. Like, if you ask me which of these two photos I would rather post somewhere, it would be the Samsung. But if I were to recommend one of these phones for taking portraits, it would have to be the one that has better fundamentals.
And
that is the iPhone. Yeah. The detail difference is substantial. And it also feels like Apple has caught up with the...
I would go for the coloring more. So I think the coloring this year on the iPhone looks good.
One thing that Samsung really had them on, edge detection. This is something that you can tell Apple has worked on this generation specifically, because Samsung used to be noticeably ahead, but now it's starting to feel like the iPhone is just as hard to catch out. And that's both for humans, but also animals, like shockingly well. Animals that I can't imagine Apple and Samsung have sat there training their camera models on. But it's just impressive. It's pretty close to a DSLR quality background blur effect. Normal photos are kind of the same story too. The vast majority of the time, you will look at what both phones take and you will think those are both sick shots. And so for a casual user, it doesn't really matter. Just pick the one who's styled.
Yeah, but here, because of the, let's say in this case, the lightning, the exposing of the camera actually helped the Samsung, right? As you can see here.
style you prefer more. So that's the iPhone's more neutral look or Samsung's brighter, more vibrant
In this case,
look. But if we
iPhone,
are getting out the
100%.
magnifying glasses and analyzing, then just like with portraits, when you're taking 1x normal photos on your main camera, then yeah, the iPhone does pretty consistently get more detail in your shots than Samsung
I don't know
does.
why. Where is this coming from? For me, I don't see that big of a difference to say, oh my, the iPhone 70 Pro Max is so much ahead, or like slightly ahead, maybe. But at the same time, you gotta realize that S25 Ultra is already almost 1 years old. Like when the S26 Ultra is going to come out, it's probably gonna be a big upgrade, maybe at the same level with the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Actually, maybe slightly be better, but at least at the same level with the iPhone 17 Pro Max. This is like 1 year smartphone. Like in February, we're getting a new S smartphone, right?
I mean, it's essentially just the fact that by default on
Okay, in this photo, yeah, look, see the underexposed actually help the photo. Like from photographer perspective, I would go with with this look right ahead.
photo, Apple is shooting in 24 megapixel compared to Samsung's 12. So if we crop into this thing's
Okay, that
butts,
might
then
be one of the
you
reasons.
can see more of the
Yeah,
wood
yeah.
grain on Apple. Skin tones are also more predictable. There's no
Absolutely.
weird blue tinges like you can see on the Samsung here. I've always enjoyed having dinner and interacting.
I
so
also got the same feeling from the Samsung that it has this weird tint.
But can Samsung turn the tables when things get dark? No, not really. But there are a couple of exceptions. So when you're taking videos at night, I would say both phones struggle an equal amount at correctly exposing the bright
My eyes literally struggle at night. Of course, smartphones and cameras and everything else is going to struggle at night. It's logic, guys.
spots. Like, can you see how the name of this crepe cafe is practically unreadable on both? Bit of a crepe image, to be honest. And when you look close at the brickwork, they're also similar. Samsung is a bit grainier, Apple is a bit smoothed out, but I wouldn't say either is better. The detail level is pretty much the same. Like if we zoom into this sign over here, it's the same legibility, which I would say is a better indicator of information
I would prefer
captured
the
as
iPhone in
opposed
this
to
case.
sharpness or smoothness. But these are the key differences that I have noticed at night. One, Samsung's photos have better dynamic range than Apple's. Like this sign over here was super bright compared to the rest of the scene. Samsung could handle it.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is way there. Like realistically, compared to the Samsung, just likes to overexpose. Like the engineers there need to have a talk with the photographers there, right? Because why? Like people need to understand that when you expose in post production, like what Samsung does, like when you shoot, uh, the camera is of course going to struggle in the dark. But when you shoot these kind of photos in the dark, the camera over processes and it overexposes. And when that happens, you're going to lose a lot of details. So in this case, I'd rather have this black margin that doesn't have too much detail than this one, right? Because this one is very noisy. This is going to be noisy. This is going to be noisy. He's going to be noisy. So realistically, even a camera would shoot more like this 70 Pro Max than the S25 Ultra. I don't think there's going to be any camera, professional camera, mirrorless camera that is going to shoot like the S25 Ultra. Of course, you can make it with less shutter speed, but at the same time, when you have a bright image like this and you lower your shutter speed, this is going to be white in post production. Like DLSS, mirrorless cameras and professional cameras, always struggle with very bright to dark ratio, and I know the hassle of editing this in post production in Lightroom and all of that, right? So it's not like something that crazy.
The iPhone couldn't. Two, iPhone's portrait mode holds its quality, whereas Samsung's falls apart quite a bit more, with it losing a grip on the way that colors should be presented.
That's what I'm saying. It overexposes, right? So Apple is winning simply because they are not overexposing their images. Samsung is losing because of that. But at the same time, people will be like, okay, but my S25 Ultra brings me more light into the night shots or low light photography. Yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't matter that much. Anyway, my camera is kind of finishing. I have 2%. I gotta finish this real quick. I'm just gonna say that for now, I think the iPhone 17 Pro Max takes the win in exposing and in coloring. I prefer the coloring, the more realistic coloring. But at the same time, I'm not saying that Samsung is far ahead behind. I think it's just a software issue. Like it may be a preference because the Korean markets and the Chinese markets and all these Asian markets will prefer the Samsung over the iPhone simply because they want overexposed. They like a lot of bright lights. Like you look at the anime, you look at all this stuff. They're into all this stuff. This is why even their shops like AliExpress look like that. Anyway, you get a point. My camera is dying. It has 1%. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.